On today's 3 Minutes to Better Gear, we're going to talk about this crazy device. First glance, this might look like some type of torture device, but it's actually a vintage scale. I initially saw this scale in Horace Kephart's Camping and Woodcraft book. I looked around online for some time for this scale. I found a few, they were in very bad condition, and then finally in New York State at an antique shop, I located one. Now because it is old, it is from the early 1900s, I really don't use the scale all that much. I have tried it out a few times. It's very accurate compared to a modern scale, but because of its age, I don't use it on a regular basis. Scales around camp were very valuable and still are a very valuable tool. It's important if you're in a long-term type living situation that we are able to weigh out our meat sources, weigh out our gear for different purposes as far as travel and also rationing out our food. So here's how this scale actually works. There's a large ring and a small ring, small hook and a large hook. So the large ring goes with the large hook, small ring with the small hook. Each side of this scale has two different measurements. So this goes from 20 all the way up to 300, and if you flip it over, this scale goes from 0 up to 40 with the 1 pound increments in between. So the smaller scale from 0 to 40 match up with the small ring and the small hook. So you would actually hang this off your piece of rope, hang whatever you want to measure off the small hook, and as that pulls, it tightens up this loop, which is hinged right here, and that causes this to move in whatever direction according to the weight. If we flip it this way and we tie off our big ring and hang something on our big hook, again, as that tightens down, the scale moves and we have our increments all the way up to 300 pounds. What I really like about this scale is just the versatility of it and the compact size. It's pretty cool that with a small package like that, I can weigh from 1 to 40 pounds and then just flip it over and go from 20 all the way up to 300 pounds. Very, very cool. Second cool part of this scale is that it's vintage. So I love the fact that the woodsmen of the past would have used something like this. Downfalls of this scale, number one, is the availability. The availability is going to be tough. It's an antique, it's old, there's not a lot of them around, and the price comes along with that rarity of the scale. So price and being able to find one is the number one downfall of it. Number two is the fact that it's just old. And because it's old and it's hard to find, am I going to use it as hard as a new piece of gear? Probably not. Overall then, how am I actually going to rate this scale? So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give it just 1 thumbs up. Now, I do love it. I love it personally. I love having it. The reason I'm only giving it 1 thumbs up though is it's hard to find, it was expensive, and it's not a piece of gear that you really need around camp. It's great to have, but it's not something you really need. And for the price of it and the age of it and not really want to use it all that much because of the age of it, it's just a cool thing to have. So if you can find one, I say get it. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You get to see it here on Coalcracker Bushcraft. So check around and see if you can find one. And if you do, hey, then it's a 2 thumbs up. So I hope you enjoyed this 3 Minutes to Better Gear. I hope we didn't go over this week 3 minutes. This was a little bit longer than expected, but it's a cool piece of gear. So anyway, 3 Minutes to Better Gear, over. See you next week.